about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Dali, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So it's been a while, but we have had some segments when we talked about curses, evil eye, witchcraft. But I'm no expert on it. I am so excited about our next guest. This is very, very cool. In a new documentary, British-born filmmaker Liam Leguiu ventures into the mysterious and dangerous world of witchcraft and the occult. A Cursed Man is premiering this year, features Liam traveling the globe, seeking out some of the world's most powerful dark magic practitioners and asking them to place a curse on him. Now, does he survive? Yep, because he's here, and he's going to talk to us about his experience. This is fantastic, and the show, A Cursed Man, is available to stream on Amazon Prime or Apple TV. So I am so excited introducing Liam Leguiu. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Liam.
Yeah, good morning. It's pretty close. It's Leguiu.
Leguiu. Go. Well, very grateful you could come on. I know you've been busy. This is so exciting. What inspired you to explore the world of dark magic?
Fantastic. Yeah, so this idea to go and look for curses, probably not your everyday idea, but it started from a conversation I had with a friend of mine who said he didn't believe in any of this. He doesn't believe in anything spiritual or magical. And I asked him, well, would you let someone put a curse on you? And instantly he said, no way. And so that was fascinating to me, right? Why is it that even people who don't believe in this stuff wouldn't let someone put a curse on them? And so I thought, well, what would happen? And so, famous last words, right? I went out looking for a curse, and I found not one, but two curses to put on myself.
Wow. And how was it, a witch or what sort of practitioner did this?
Yeah, so we had to look quite far and wide to find anyone who would be willing to do this. I mean, first of all, when you pick up the phone or go see someone and say, hey, would you put a curse on me? I was a crazy person. So that was the first hurdle. And the second hurdle is that everyone I spoke to around the globe, across the country and the globe, it was a consistent message that magic practices are not about doing harm to other people. It's really not what this is about. It's about positives. It's about helping people. And it's about community. And so it was really hard to find anyone to practice negative magic. But then what I would say is there is an element of what they call negative magic, and it's usually used for them historically as a form of protection, as a form of self-defense. These were persecuted people and beliefs, and so they have this kind of in their toolkit, as it were, and so it does exist. And so I traveled from California, a coven of witches in California, to New Orleans to speak voodoo and hoodoo practitioners, to Mexico, a practitioner, a bruja in Mexico, and even tantric practitioners in India. And eventually I found the first curse to put on myself was a hoodoo practitioner in New Orleans. And then something a little more different, I entered into a pact with this evil entity in a cave in Mexico. And that was a pact that I brought upon myself that this brujo took me to take part in.
And just the process of you going through that must have been pretty... that must have put a lot of miles on, physically, psychologically. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the fascinating thing. I mean, first of all, there's in the film, it's certainly an adventure. I mean, we literally have to travel through jungles and across lakes to try and find these places and these people. So that's a fascinating part of the story. But once I'd put these things on me, and it felt a bit like the idea had become a runaway train. It felt like wait a minute, what am I getting into? What began to happen, as I said, I was a skeptic myself going into this, and I really didn't think this would work. I mean, you wouldn't put a curse on you if you believed it would work, right? And so
Right.
I felt like I would be fine. But what began to happen was I started having terrible, terrible nightmares repeatedly every night, to a point where I eventually had the first ever sleep paralysis nightmare, where I woke up and I was unable to move. That was terrifying. And then I began to have these terrible headaches that were these tension headaches that I went to see the doctor about, and they said there's no real cause for them. We don't know where they're coming from, but they were affecting me every day. And so my whole life was beginning to live this sense of anxiety, this sense of dread all around these curses. So I didn't expect anything to happen, but this had seeped into my psychology, and my subconscious. And so now I'm beginning to live a cursed life despite what I was thinking.
Wow. Oh, gosh, amazing. In the final minute, what do you hope audiences will take away from the film A Cursed Man?
Well, it's definitely an adventure story, right? So watching the film, they should enjoy the adventure of it. But one of the things I'm most proud of is the fact that we've captured authentic magical practice that I've never seen in a documentary before. Like we see in Hollywood movies, but real magical practice, this is a first for me, and so I think people will get that. But also, I think, look, I went looking for a curse. I went looking for the negative. But the end result is, if that actually worked and it had this effect on me, then the opposite must be true as well. And so I think by association, there's a positive message.
So true. Exactly. Oh, my gosh. Where can my listeners go for more information?
Great. So the film's out now, so people can check it out. It's available on video on demand. So that's Apple TV and Amazon Prime. I would love for people to check it out and let me know what they think. And
Liam Legalou, thank you so much. Can't wait to have you back, and good luck. Thank you so much for sharing your story. A Cursed Man. Don't go away, guys. We'll be right back. 1-877 Daliah. Dr. Daliah here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Lisa Wolf here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you. And be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Hotshot Secret Stiction Eliminator.
Stiction, that sticky friction, undermines the performance of diesel engines. Third-party ASTM testing verifies that Stiction Eliminator removes 2 times as much stiction than any alternative on the retail shelf. Stiction Eliminator is formulated to be left in the engine oil. It works as you drive.
Available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at HotShotSecret.com. Hotshot Secret. Powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians, only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on X or Twitter at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So tell me something. What does Brett Favre, Michael J. Fox, Johnny Cash, Muhammad Ali, Robin Williams, Peanuts creator Charles Schultz, Pope John Paul II, Reverend Jesse Jackson, Neil Diamond, Ozzy Osbourne, what do all these people have in common? Well, there's something that connects them. They had Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's is one of the most common neurodegenerative disorders. I think it's second. And it affects about 1 million Americans a year. And April is Parkinson's Awareness Month. And so today, we are going to be focusing on Parkinson's. And joining us is Dr. Kathleen Blake, who is living with the disease, and John Lair, President and CEO of the Parkinson's Foundation. Kathleen, John, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
John, you do a lot of work with Parkinson's. Talk to my listeners about what Parkinson's disease is.
Sure, yeah, I think you started to really capture it. So it's a neurodegenerative disease that slowly progresses over time. It affects more than 1 million Americans in the U.S., and 90,000 individuals are newly diagnosed each year, which is a pretty dramatic increase over prior estimates. The World Health Organization says that it is the fastest growing neurological disease, and you're right, it's second to Alzheimer's in the United States. It's a disease that primarily affects people later in life, in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. Only a small percentage will be like Michael J. Fox and develop it before the age of 50. It's progressive, so it means it kind of gets worse over time. But some people, no two people have the same course of disease. Some people, it progresses rapidly, and some people progresses slowly. The main initial things are resting tremor, difficulty moving, difficulty navigating your physical environment. But there are also cognitive issues, mental health issues, GI issues, sleep issues. So it really does affect, it can affect the whole body.
And it's pretty overwhelming for the patient, for the family. John, what would you say is the most important thing to know about this disease?
I think the thing to know is that you can live for a long time with Parkinson's, and you can have a very good, high quality of life. There are things you definitely are going to need to do, right? Get good care, good routine care, and exercise. And I think Kathy will probably talk more about that. But exercise, we used to tell people not to exercise because we were worried about people falling and injuring themselves. Now we recognize that exercise is probably the most important thing that you can do to keep Parkinson's as much at bay as possible.
Mm-hmm. And Dr. Kathleen Blake, here you are, trained, working with patients, and then you become afflicted with Parkinson's. Kathy, talk to us, if you don't mind my calling you Kathy, talk to us about the symptoms.
Well, so I'm a cardiologist, now retired, so I did not recognize my own symptoms, which began about 12 years ago. And then 7 years ago, a very astute young physical therapist who I was seeing for left shoulder pain, I mentioned that I was also noticing a slight tremor in my left hand. And she was the person who really got the ball rolling, sent me to a neurologist. I then saw a movement disorder specialist, and I was told that I had Parkinson's disease.
Wow. And so how are you managing your symptoms?
So the most important thing, not just for me, but for everybody who is involved or has Parkinson's disease, is exercise. And the reason for that, because I really think of it as a medicine. It is the only proven strategy that will slow down the rate of progression of the disease. And so it's really important that people do exercise regularly and that they do something they enjoy. So this is not meant to be a prescription for misery. It might be that you enjoy dance or rock steady boxing, or you like riding a bicycle, or whatever it is. Do it consistently. You might mix it up over time or change your focus, but exercise is critical. until the day when we have a cure and or we can prevent the disease.
Amen to that. John, you are president and CEO of the Parkinson's Foundation. God bless you and your team. And God bless you, Kathy, for sharing your story. John, what resources are available?
Yeah, so thank you for that. There are a lot of resources and support out there. And we think the Parkinson's Foundation is a really great place to start. We pride ourselves on being the trusted and go-to source for all things Parkinson's, where you can get reliable, evidence-based, peer-reviewed information. There's a lot of misinformation out there. If you type in Google or you just read your newsfeed, you're going to see some things that are over-promising about Parkinson's. So we really recommend that people go to our website, parkinson.org. That's parkinson.org. We also have a helpline, which is a toll-free helpline, which is 800-4PD-INFO. That's 4PDINFO. Staffed by trained experts in Parkinson's care who can answer any questions you might have and direct you to resources in your local community. We offer virtual and in-person educational meetings. We have lots of print and digital resources available to people if they're interested in that. All is available on Parkinson.org. So we really encourage people to go there first.
I love it. I love it. Kathy, I know you guys have to have another interview. Any final thoughts for people with Parkinson's?
Join our community. Do not isolate yourself. We're a welcoming community, and we can help.
Love it. Love it. John, one more time, where can my listeners go for more information?
Website is parkinson.org, or call our helpline, 800-4PDINFO.
Love it. Can't wait to have both of you back. John, Kathy, God bless, and can't wait to have you back.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So symptoms of Parkinson's include you starting to feel more stiff, feel more rigid. You might start losing your balance, which is so deadly, especially for individuals who fall, break a hip. My friend's mother had just recently fallen. She was healthy, just had recovered from some shoulder surgery, was running around the house, doing some things, fell, broke her hip, died 12 days later. And so Parkinson's, people ask, well, how do you die from Parkinson's? Well, one of it is if you have difficulty moving, you're more stiff, you could be more prone for pneumonia, you could be more at risk for bed sores, which is why Kathy had said, keep moving, keep moving. But another thing is the poor balance. And so you don't want to try to kind of hide that from family members. Oh, they're going to make me use a cane. Get something to stabilize yourself because a fall can be deadly. You may have this tremor at rest. We call it a pill rolling tremor, where it looks like you're playing with a pill in one hand. When you use the hand, the tremor seems to subside. But when you're sitting there not using your hand, the tremor is more prominent. We call that a tremor at rest or a resting tremor or a pill rolling tremor. Some people with Parkinson's will move slower because they're rigid, because they're stiff, because they're apprehensive of falling, because they don't trust some of their movements. They might eventually be unable to move. But one sign, I could tell somebody has Parkinson's before they even come into the doctor's office because they have these shuffling steps. They walk very, very slow. This is why people thought President Biden had Parkinson's, because he was walking very, very slow, guarding his walk. Now, it could just be he was afraid of falling on the in front of the cameras, but a very, very small stride, shuffling steps. And so eventually people with Parkinson's, as we saw with Robin Williams, depression, anxiety, people with Parkinson's can also get memory loss, constipation, difficulty with smelling, difficulty swallowing. So now they eat less. They could have erectile dysfunction, as I said, be at risk for pneumonia, fractures, falling. And then some severe cases, they could have hallucinations, delusions, even dementia. So we're still trying to figure out why people get this. As we said, it's the second most common neurodegenerative disorder. And so we believe that it is genetic. Multiple genes have been identified. The average onset is about 60 years old. Some people, though, can get it early onset, under age 50, like we saw with Michael J. Fox and as John had brought up. If we might even see Parkinson's very rarely under age 20. We call that juvenile onset Parkinson's. Men appear to be affected more than women. Men affected more than twice the rate. Some risk can be enhanced with head trauma. So when Brett Favre was talking about how he has been, dealing with Parkinson's, you wonder, was that because of, his football days? It's just not easy. And it's, there's also been some theories that herbicides, pesticides, there's been some theories that people who smoke have less risk, but no. Talk to your medical provider. And if you're having any of the symptoms we discussed, 1-877-DOC-DALIAH.
Sweet strawberry icing. You were strolling along in goodwill when just past that mid-century side table and denim jacket you spotted them, nestled in their display case. Miniature donut earrings. Oh, yes! Yes! Your favorite half-breakfast pastry, half-all-day dessert food, made into your favorite form of ear candy. Oh my. Those bejeweled sprinkles have satisfied some unknown hunger within you. Shh, do you smell that? That's the sugary scent of shopping success. For this is Goodwill. And with every item you buy, you fund local job training and more. So go forth. Bring home those donut earrings. And bring home so much good to your community. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show, 1-877-DOC-DALIAH, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So there's good stress and there's bad stress. When we work out and we do weight-bearing exercises, we do it to stress our bones, make sure they stay strong, rebuild. When we have stress, kind of as a defense mechanism, teaches us that this is something that we need to be aware, get our spidey sense, be more acute. But stress can take its toll and become bad stress. And we recognize Stress Awareness Month in April. And we want to raise consciousness about the causes and ways to reduce modern day bad stress. And a lot of us are feeling it. We are. So I'm so excited that Dr. Jada Jackson Hill, a renowned mental health counselor and leading stress management expert, is here. She is president of Total Life Counseling Dallas. She's a frequent contributor. She's been on our show before. You see her all the time nationally on regional media outlets. So we are really, really excited to welcome back Dr. Jada Jackson Hill. Hi, Dr. Jackson Hill. How are you?
I'm doing great, Dr. Daliah. Thanks for having me.
Okay, love it, love it. So, talk to us about stress and why it's so important to recognize when it's hurting you.
Well, you know this better than I do. Life can be messy and complicated. It can be overwhelming and disruptive. And in my practice, we help people focus on how to effectively deal with stress using practical tools and strategies because it's important to find ways to address life's challenges in a productive way.
Absolutely. Now, you've given lots of resources and tips. Talk to us about what can help us manage stress.
Yeah, and the key is management. It's managing the stress. And whether you're starting a new job, taking a test, or even flying, we could all use help managing that stress. And that's why I love Boron Stress Calm, a non-sedating stress relief option to calm occasional nervous tension, irritability, or fatigue due to everyday stress. So you can stay focused and relaxed without affecting your alertness. Now, it has absolutely no artificial sweeteners, flavors, colors, or preservatives, and it's available in melt-away tablets or pellets for anyone 12 and up, and it can easily be found at boronusa.com. And Dr. Daliah, this is one of my go-tos for stress management.
See, it's a lot safer than what a lot of people go to. They go to alcohol, they go to cigarettes, they go. I mean, I go to food. I don't need to gain any more weight, and so a healthy way to handle. Yeah, and so that people say, all right, Dr. Daliah, all right, we have to manage stress. But how do I do that? I mean, working out, yes, that's a biggie. There are healthy ways. Talk to us about the healthy ways to handle stress.
Yeah, and You just said it. You just said it, because one of the healthiest ways to handle stress is really simple, and it's exercise. And, I love working out at Planet Fitness. It has over 2,700 locations nationwide with best-in-class equipment and a wide variety of strength, cardio, and stretching space in a welcoming fitness community where literally everyone can get a stress-relieving workout. And so as we transition to spring, of course, we want to focus on both mental and physical health. And we can do that by joining an amazing club like Planet Fitness, experiencing all that the judgment-free zone has to offer. And we can sign up online or in club at planetfitness.com.
One thing I notice is a lot of us are in the same boat. Some of us are like, well, I don't have good workout clothes, or it's too hot outside, or we're all thinking the same thing. And it needs somebody like you, Dr. Jackson Hill, to kind of say, look, this is how we overcome. Yeah, it is going to get hot outside. The allergies are hitting us. There are time constraints. So, talk to us about how we could kind of stay cool when we feel stressed.
Well, again, stress is a part of life, but we can certainly do something about it, because you probably know this, stress sweat smells worse than regular sweat. And Secret Clinical Dry Sticks and Sprays have a triple-acting formula that delivers 3 times the protection against stress sweat compared to, say, a regular antiperspirant. It's clinically proven. It's a 72-hour protection from stress, heat, and activity sweat. And the weightless formula dries quickly and leaves no residue on clothes. So listen, you don't have to worry about those telltale signs of stress. We are taken care of.
I love it. You have so many resources. Any other tips on how to handle stress?
Yeah, as a mental health counselor, it is so important for me to equip my clients with practical resources, and one of them just happens to be something that I wrote. My clients love my everyday stress toolbox with practical evidence-based tips to shift from fight, flight, freeze to calm, cool, and collected by developing emotional management skills that fit their stress needs. So they can find this one at jadajackson.com.
Awesome. Any in the last minute or two, any other information you'd like to share, and where can my listeners go?
Absolutely. And just remember, all of these items are on tipsontv.com. And this is really about stress awareness and managing our stress. And when we, kind of look at every item, we can say, you know what, I can put that, in my pocket and use it when needed. And so it's so important for us to have something to go to.
Oh, well, you're great. Dr. Jada Jackson Hill, can't wait to have you back. And thank you so much for all you've done.
Thank you, Dr. Daliah. Appreciate it.
1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So other go-tos that I have is I like comedy. I like to laugh. When I laugh, it relieves stress. And so for me, I have some of my favorite comedic like videos. Now, with YouTube and all that, there's so much access to entertainment where you don't have to watch. Like one of my favorite all-time comedy sketches was Eddie Murphy's Delirious, right? I think it was called Delirious. He did Raw, but the first one was better. And I think it came out when I was in the 80s, when I was younger. And so there were certain skits from that still, even today, 40 plus years later, makes me laugh. Exercise is huge. Pets are a big stress reliever. It's tricky, though. When my cat got eaten by a coyote, that was it still is rough. You're always grieving and mourning. But my other pets, just seeing them make me happy. And, people will say, Daliah, sometimes the things that make you happy can also give you stress. And, you need to find a balance, but you also need to understand that stress and grieving and loss are not always damaging. They don't always have to be damaging. Like for example, we're watching the stock market tumble the last few days, although it started to pick back up today. But, and people are like, oh, man, we lost money. Well, sometimes, what's a loss to some is an opportunity for others. And so that's why we spoke about how a lot of people are like, well, wait a second. Okay, stocks are cheaper now. Bitcoin dropped. Maybe I could finally get in. COVID was horrible. COVID was an absolute disaster. The way the public officials handled it, ridiculous. However, I always like to find the silver lining. Well, many of us learned, and I said this early on, a silver lining is we are building a system of how if we ever do have to lock down, we could still function. Okay, we know how to teach. We know how to do medicine. We develop telemedicine platforms for people to contact a doctor remotely. And believe it or not, there are going to be, when we look back in the history books, some things that grew out of the COVID cluster and debacle that actually became more positive. We learned a lot about natural immunity. And we learned that what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. We learned that that vaccines do help save lives, but they don't mandate, because when you mandate, it's a mess. And so we learned things. Whether politicians will learn something or make the same mistakes is a whole nother issue. But what you have to look for the good, and if there is something that sadly is affecting you, see if there's a positive reason. Is it God's way? Is it nature trying to tell you something? 1-877 Dr. Daliah. Dr. Daliah here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So there's been a lot of exciting developments as it pertains to psoriasis. We're going to be sharing with you later on in the show in this month. But psoriasis is a condition that affects millions of Americans. I think 3% of the population was one of the latest statistics I saw. And this is something that I actually think I'm starting to develop myself, especially on my elbows, and it's something that a family member of mine has on his scalp, knees, all over. It is debilitating. And as you know, psoriasis is a chronic disease, autoimmune, characterized by excessive inflammation in the body. You get these thick, scaly patches on the skin. And not only are you having the physical sequelae of that, but many people it affects their social interactions and their emotional well-being. And, now that we're coming into the summer and beach weather, many people feel very isolated because they do not want to be out in public feeling people don't understand what their condition could be. So I'm very, very grateful to have board-certified dermatologist Dr. Omar Noor and psoriasis patient Mark here to discuss the importance of self-advocacy as well as finding the right treatment for people who have moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Dr. Noor, and Mark, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
And I want to thank Sun Pharmaceuticals for bringing us this interview today. We really, really appreciate all they do. So discuss what psoriasis is and both the physical and emotional impact.
So you went over quite a bit of it, which is really helpful. But in general, patients need to understand that it is an immune issue. It's internal, and that immune system is producing inflammation in the skin that causes these silvery, scaly plaques and rashes on the body, which very frequently can happen on the elbows and the knees, or they can happen on the scalp or anywhere on the body. They tend to be itchy. They tend to be uncomfortable. In some cases, they can even crack and bleed. And then they can flake. And a lot of patients that come into the office, they talk about how other people perceive their rash, how some people will come up to them and even ask them if it's contagious. It is emotionally disturbing for a lot of patients. And it's good that we now have a lot of great treatment options for our patients.
Thank God. Mark, you're living with this. Talk to us about your experience.
Well, and I appreciate the fact that you say I'm living with it now, but with the new treatments available, it's kind of like I feel like I'm living without it because I've improved that much. I got psoriasis when I was 7 years old, so juvenile psoriasis, and I had a severe case basically all my life. So I had 90 to 95% coverage on my body with psoriasis. When that was the picture, I can tell you that it was debilitating, that your skin hurt, and it got dry as a kid. I didn't know how to take care of it. My parents did the best they could, but it was awful growing up with it as a kid. And the mental health standpoint, not having people understand what it is, the topic of girls and psoriasis for me, that's a story I could tell all by itself. And the pressures that you would get in school relating to psoriasis. I remember in high school, we had gym class, and after gym class, we had to hit the showers. And gym class was not an option, and not hitting the showers. That wasn't an option either. And I would stand there dripping wet and have other students come up to me, poke fun at me, and came up with really derogatory names.
Oh, yeah.
And I just kind of had to stand there and take it. And that's not part of my life anymore because I really don't have psoriasis anymore, not with the treatments available.
Love it, love it. Yeah. So either one of you share with us. So what are the treatment options available?
So we have topical treatments, we have oral treatments, and what Mark was alluding to earlier are biologics. And biologics have really evolved over time, where one medication that I've had a lot of success with is Illumia from Sun Pharmaceuticals, which is for moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, that allows for 4 injections per year, and you do them in the office, so you don't have to worry about the logistics of having the shots or the medication delivered to your home. The dermatologist takes care of everything from beginning to end, and by doing the shots in the office, we get touch points with the patient to really monitor your improvement, make sure that we're moving in the right direction together, because not every medication is meant is for every person. So we want to make sure we have the right medication for you.
Absolutely. And like you said, touch points. Many people say they go to their medical provider and then they don't see them again. And then trying to get back in, it could take months. If you are on this regimen course, you are going to be able to see your medical provider and have that access to them 4 times a year. And so that is a huge win, because not only is psoriasis a concern, also skin cancer and other things that might affect you dermatologically. So you get that face time with the provider, which is, I think, so valuable.
That's absolutely correct.
So, in the final minutes we have left, obviously, what people are going through, they feel alone, they feel isolated. Talk to us about why it's important for patients to advocate for themselves and, not feel isolated and still partner with their healthcare provider throughout this.
So yeah, advocacy is very important. You have to, every person is different, and we have a lot of treatment options. So you have to speak up. You have to talk about your journey. Every individual is different. So we have to make sure we have the right option for you. So really advocate for yourself. No, you don't have to be hopeless. You mentioned 3% of the population, 8 million people with psoriasis. You're not alone. You can get better. Just reach out, find a dermatologist, talk to your primary care doctor. A lot of times, that's where a lot of patients' journey begins to getting better, and really just move on from there.
And, one thing I want to say that I think has helped is, you see these commercials, for people with plaque psoriasis, and it reminds others that that's what they could have. I mean, I remember when I was younger, people were saying, oh, maybe that person has leprosy. And I'm like, no, that's not. That's a skin condition. And educating the public is huge. That's what our show tries to do, and that's what you all have been doing. And so I think, once we, kind of raise that awareness, hopefully people will feel less isolated, less bullied. And the fact that we do have treatments to make you feel that you can, overcome this, Mark, hearing that you feel like you are, overcoming it and have overcome it is so heartening to hear. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you. It's great. I never imagined that it was possible.
Oh, all right. So Dr. Noor, where can my listeners find out more information?
Illumia.com/ILOVEYA, ILUVYA.
Oh, I love that. Mark, Dr. Noor, God bless you. Can't wait to have you back, and thank you for all you do.
Thank you, too.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right, guys, don't go away. We'll be right back. 1-877 Doc Daliah.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.